Knowing the right thing is one thing, and then deciding to do the right thing is also another thing in itself. Now, a 57-year-old judge in the United States of America by name Sonya McKnight is in deep waters because, as it stands now, she has been charged with the infliction of a GSW on her boyfriend just because he wanted to end the relationship with her. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, the whole incident occurred in the morning of the 10th of February, which was a Saturday, at the Harrisburg home of the victim by name Michael McCoy. Getting into the details, you would realize that this is something that came out of what seems to be actually nothing, because it is not far-fetched for dating relationships to come to an end. Just that sometimes the manner in which they end can also trigger people, especially when they feel they're entitled to the love and care of the person who is trying to leave them, or sometimes though when they also feel that they are not ready to handle that rejection. And it's an established fact that there are some people who do not actually know how to take no or how to handle rejection. And it seems that in this particular case, when Michael McCoy, the boyfriend of Judge Sonya McKnight, decided to call it quits with her, Sonya was not ready to end the relationship with him, to the point that she actually didn't take him serious. She felt that it was one of those things because, per reports out there, they were having a relationship which was almost like any normal relationship, if one could argue in that way, because most relationships, especially the dating ones, have their ups and downs. So it is not that strange for one party to say that, oh, let's take a break, or I think I don't need this anymore, only to see them come back together and try to do better. So they had had their fair share of this, and the relationship had lasted just about a year. So she felt that it was one of these things. But then Michael McCoy actually took his key away from Sonya. She had a spare key to his apartment, and Michael said that, no, it's enough. Give me the spare key I gave you, and please get out of my apartment and get out of my life. After which, Michael actually left, and he felt that that was the relationship being ended right there and then. But then, he came back later and saw that Judge Sonya McKnight was actually still at the house wearing her pajamas. And he found out later that she had made a spare key of the spare key that he gave to her. So when he took away the spare key, she still technically had another spare key to his apartment. So it was at this point that he realized that no, this is getting out of hand. It seems that she is not ready to leave, and she has taken an entrenched stance where she's deciding to stay with him no matter what he says. I don't know, but it feels like that was a little bit too much of her. That is what I think. And to make matters worse, Michael decided he wasn't going to physically force her out because that could lead to other complications. So he rather decided that he was going to call Sonya McKnight's mom to get her to come and get her daughter out of his house, which I think is the next best thing to do, because someone would argue that out of self-respect and respect for her dignity, Sonya McKnight, no matter how hurt she was, should have just left when Michael was treating her to this extent. Because obviously, if he doesn't want you or she doesn't want you, don't, in quotes, belittle yourself to the point that you are having to grovel and decide to stay and stay. It might sound romantic at a point, but at a certain point, you should realize that, no, this person is dead serious and I just need to leave. cut my losses, take the L, and then move on. But it seems that Sonya was not ready to cut ties. And at the point that Michael McCoy told her that he was going to call her mom to come and escort her out of his apartment, it was at this point that Sonya McKnight realized that no, Michael McCoy was not playing around. He was dead serious. And she actually asked him, "Oh, so you are that serious?" And it seems that it was at this point that Sonya McKnight began to hatch a different plot. Because looking at the fact that she wasn't ready to leave, she's 57. She's a fully grown, matured woman. And I'm sure she's been up and down several relationships. There's actually a case again about her and her ex-husband. I'll get into it before the end of this video. But that is just to let you know that this wasn't her first rodeo. She's been around. In terms of relationships, she has experience. So it's not something that one would expect that it would hit her so much she wouldn't know how to handle it. But I don't know. Either she loved this guy so much, or she was hurt by the form and extent of rejection to which Michael McCoy was subjecting her to. But either way, this realization of Michael McCoy being dead serious to cut her out of his life seemed to turn on something in Sonya McKnight. Because Michael returned after going out to town later to find that Sonya was still in the house. This was somewhere getting to 11 p.m. thereabout per reports, and he went to bed. And it's reported that at a point in time, Sonya McKnight called 911 just before 1 a.m. to report that her boyfriend, Michael McCoy, was unable to see. When asked how come he is unable to see, she said that she could not explain what had happened, but that she was sleeping and heard him screaming. Now, when paramedics came, they realized that Michael McCoy had actually sustained a GSW in his face. Yeah, and Sonya McKnight is trying to sell the story that Michael McKnight inflicted this on himself. Michael McKnight, on the other hand, denies ever doing this because he has no reason for which he would want to do this to himself. At which point, investigations definitely would still be commencing because you can't just rule it out as nothing. And further investigations revealed that there was actually residue from the weapon on Sonya McKnight, and that it actually belonged to her also. So this just debunked whatever she said, because she was trying to peddle the story that Michael McCoy inflicted this on himself. So she has now been arrested. And as it stands now, I don't think she's going to beat this, because it turns out that this is not the first time that Sonya McKnight is facing something like this. Because in 2019, Sonya McKnight was cleared in the GSW of her estranged husband after he was sustained in an injury in his groin, and Sonya sort of claimed that it was in self-defense. As to how accurate and truthful that was, I can't tell, but what I can say is she was able to beat that, and that just went away. But on the back of that, with this happening and the evidence corroborating the fact that possibly this is something that Sonya McKnight may have done to Michael McCoy, contrary to what she's saying, then it presupposes that maybe Sonya McKnight has an issue. Maybe she has an issue in relationships, and sometimes she resorts to such means and measures to put her point across. Because the investigation so far is coming out clearly that Sonya McKnight lied when she said that she doesn't know how come that injury was inflicted, but that it's rather suggested that due to the residue found on her fingers, she is likely to be the culprit who actually inflicted this on her ex-boyfriend, and the root cause people are attributing it possibly to is the fact that maybe, just maybe, is due to the fact that he wanted to end it with her and she was not ready to take it lightly. But then the bigger question is, she is a judge. Shouldn't she know better? Yeah, like I said, I'm sure she does know better. But knowing better and deciding to do better are actually two different things. This goes to show that everybody is human. Sometimes those who know the right thing try to do the right thing, but sometimes they just end up doing the wrong thing. And sometimes people who know the right thing deliberately do the wrong thing because at a particular point in time, they felt that that was the way to go to put their point across, or because they felt somebody deserved to have a taste of that wrong thing. It's very unfortunate because it would have been expected that she, being a judge, she wouldn't be caught up in things like this. But hey, that is how things go. We are all humans. That is not to make an excuse for her, but just to cite the point that sometimes people can slip up and the law is there to check everybody. I'm following the case to see how it goes. And you know, even though the evidence is pointing at her, the law also requires that she be treated as innocent until deemed guilty by a competent court of law. So, as it stands now, we are waiting to see how everything will play out, and I'll bring you the updates as and when they are due. Fortunately, her boyfriend survived, but then he has lost sight of one of his eyes. That eye isn't functioning anymore, but at least he survived, and we are waiting to see how everything will play out. And like I promised, I'll bring you the updates as and when they are due. Thanks for watching the video. Watch other ones, give your feedback, subscribe if you haven't, and thank you for helping us hit 2,000 subscribers. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.